Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Hollywood Bloodbath. Over 40% of TV writing jobs gone. Hollywood is wiping out its TV writers. It's not just that, but since Hollywood is cutting back on production, they've figured out, hey, we don't need to staff every possible writer. We don't need to have multiple writing rooms. We don't need mini rooms. We don't need to hire people on for diversity, equity, and inclusion and hope that they have some kind of great vision in 10 or 15 years. Everyone who works has to be qualified. But even the people that work, massive cutbacks, especially in TV. From The Hollywood Reporter, TV writing jobs fell by 42% in 2023 to the 2024 season, according to the Writers Guild of America. So they would kind of know. Of the 1,319 total writing jobs lost from the 2022 to 2023 season, 642 of them were co-executive producers or above. They lost people who were producing shows and who were also writing on the shows, but the lower level people lost even more of their jobs. The reason they give for this, for the most part, is technology. They blame cord cutting because cable channels are pretty much disappearing quickly. So cable networks are not producing as many new shows because no one's watching them. And you've got streaming services. And finally, streaming services are starting to get profitable. You can quibble about this number and fight about that number, and I'm sure they are cheating a little bit with how they're reporting their numbers. All the entertainment companies have always done that. But now, according to The Hollywood Reporter, streaming profit report, Netflix leads, Disney rises, Warner grows. Is consolidation next? Consolidation is when one entity buys another entity or they combine their businesses to save additional overhead, which will also mean producing even less content. They realized, hey, we don't need to produce so much content. It's not like if we produce all of these additional shows that support something that people aren't interested in, or if they just produce shows, yes, it was DEI nonsense, it was inclusion nonsense that people didn't actually care about. But they've realized if they produce this stuff, it just costs them extra millions of dollars. People don't watch it. They don't stay subscribed to their streaming services. And even more so, these streaming services are based on advertising revenue now. They get directly more money when you actually watch the show. It's not just based on the streaming revenue that you get from subscribing to the channel. So the opportunity to produce more and more shows that people don't want to see is pretty much gone now. Wall Street liked streaming services that had a lot of content. They thought conceptually that worked. So for a while, they did that. And then a couple of years ago, it started to become obvious this is not working anymore. So they stopped overproducing nonsensical shows. And here's another technological aspect of this. We haven't even gotten to AI yet. But another technological aspect. From The Hollywood Reporter, peak TV is over. Welcome to peak IP. Spin-offs have existed almost as long as TV. But executives are now leaning more heavily into familiar franchises, crowding out original ideas because they have existing libraries of shows. So why not revive a franchise, keep attention to their old catalog, which is long since already paid for? Because if you do something new and it works, that's great. But if you do something new that's a version of something in the past, you make money from the things in the past, you make money from the new thing. And also, even something that's new that's successful, who knows if that's going to work long term? It was great for Star Trek, but there are always new ideas that come out that are new and trendy and exciting, and then they kind of burn out because society moves on. But if you have something that worked for years in the past and now it works in the present and it's successful again, it's a great indicator that you should continue doing that. So all of this means more competition for people trying to do new shows, competing with new intellectual properties, old intellectual properties, but a lot of old library. I don't know how much time you spend on streaming services, but sometimes when I go and I watch something, I go and watch something that I like that was not made within the last, let's say, 12 months or so. Or I'll go back and I'll rewatch something like Breaking Bad, which was a really well-written show that was written years and years ago now. It's difficult for a new show to get my attention. It has to actually be really good, and usually a friend of mine has to tell me about it and say, Adam, you'd really like this. You should check it out. Because I don't have time to go looking for new shows. And technology is a major factor. Whether it's digital delivery or it's access to an old library, or it's new distribution, or existing distribution getting wiped out. For example, cable channels are really getting wiped out. Very few people are going to come up with a plan that's going to say, let's make a new cable channel and let's produce shows for that cable channel. But cable channels, when they came in, were a huge opportunity in the first place. But now it's long since past that first place. New shows having to compete with old library is a near disaster for new production for Hollywood. And this whole distraction of trying to have diversity and inclusion and new people that look this way or feel that way or have this kind of sexual preference with this race, that kind of a distraction could have been kept in the background while people actually focused on what was making money and what consumers were legitimately interested in, what was getting their legitimate attention, not just trying to focus on pushing an ideology. And because the people in this industry did not pay attention to what the actual consumer wanted, the people that were really supposed to watch and pay attention to these shows, now they're in a situation that really would have been inconceivable even 5 years ago. To lose 40%, more than 40% of TV writing jobs, what's going to happen next year or the year after that? Is there going to be all of a sudden some great new demand? And forgetting about DEI, I'm saying just any new shows. Yes, there will be new shows. There's going to be a lot less of them. And for the people that are qualified writers, they're going to be fighting with AI, or they're going to learn to use AI. You can't get away from technology. Disney is credited with popularizing the use of storyboards. Storyboards did not always exist. In the 1930s, Walt Disney Studios developed storyboards as a tool for creating engaging and coherent stories. A storyboard is a series of sketches that maps out a story and allows filmmakers to visualize the sequence of the plot. In the 1930s, storyboards were a technology that made it possible to tell the kind of story that only Disney could tell, and people loved it. Technology will always find a way to impact production as well as distribution. Even with the 2023 strikes in Hollywood's rearview mirror, writers are still feeling the pinch. They call it peak TV. This is post-peak TV. Peak TV was when they had massive overproduction of television because just producing anything was considered to be a valuable thing to do. That's never coming back. This past Friday, the Writers Guild of America released new job statistics highlighting recent declines in television writing jobs across various levels of the hierarchy. And you may imagine that the Writers Guild of America is supposed to have some responsibility for maintaining the industry, at least to the extent that they can make an effort to do so. Of the 1,319 fewer TV writing jobs for the 2023 to 2024 season, 642 jobs were lost, a decline of 40%, and those were at the co-producer or higher up level of showrunner. Lower level writers like staff writer, story editor, executive story editor were the next most affected, with 378 fewer jobs versus the prior season, down 46%. Mid-level positions, co-producer through consulting, supervisor producer, declined by 299, 42%. Combined, there were about 1,800 television writing jobs last season, a 42% decline from the 2022 to 2023 season. Last season's numbers are far fewer than even the COVID season of 2019 to 2020, which employed 2,722 writers. According to the Writers Guild of America, cord cutters and corporate greed are to blame. Quote, with an industry in transition, cable TV subscriptions and cable programming declining, a massive run-up and then pullback in streaming series as Wall Street demands quicker streaming platform profits, the number of TV jobs has declined, according to the WGA. When Wall Street was suggesting, you know what, we need a lot more TV shows on your streaming services, it seemed like it made sense at the time, but to look back, it was clearly ridiculous because it's not like those shows are what made any of the success happen for the streaming services. And while they're having some success now, it's still not great success. What they have figured out now is working for the streaming services is, yes, you have to have scale. A lot of people have to watch your streaming service. You also need advertising revenue as a big part of keeping the price down and generating extra revenue. And then, of course, you also need to make sure people are actually watching the shows, which is the opposite of just giving everyone a job and letting them make a show just to fill up the channel. And also, you have to be careful about how much money you're spending, because just throwing content onto these streaming services does not equal making money. Wall Street knows this. Wall Street has now communicated this. The streaming services have gotten it. And that means these writers that the WGA would have had you hire, except for what they call corporate greed, really have no value to the system anymore. The WGA's report said that studios prolonged unwillingness to negotiate a fair deal in 2023, and that was also to blame as it shortened the 2023 to 2024 season. The WGA writer strike ran from May to September 2023. The Directors Guild of America reached a deal with media companies, but actors also took to picket lines as the SAG-AFTRA strike ran from July to November. Seasons of scripted shows were trimmed and some pickups were canceled. Because while people weren't working, it's not like the studios were going to say, yeah, let's just greenlight these things, and whenever you're ready to come back to work, we'll just let you come back to work, and hey, no problem. Nothing works that way. 37% fewer WGA-covered episodic series aired in 2023 to 2024, according to the report. Quote, writing careers have always been difficult to access and sustain, but the contraction has made it especially challenging, according to an email sent to WGA members. Quote, we are all subject to the decisions of the companies that control this industry, who have pulled back spending on content based on the demands of Wall Street. Compounding that, the current administration seems intent on causing economic chaos and undermining our democracy. Undermining our democracy? What are they even talking about? If you're a member of the WGA, there's not likely much you can do, but don't expect anything good from these guys. Now the WGA is blaming people who are not trying to protect democracy for why they can't get jobs for writers that are actually paying dues of their union. So far, WGA data for the still ongoing 2024 to 2025 television season is months away, according to the Guild. It's not just about needing more jobs, though that's certainly part of the WGA's current mission. The 2023 negotiations were an attempt to thwart downsizing, but also about ensuring that however many projects the companies make, the jobs are still good ones, according to the WGA. Okay, so they're going to have like practically no new projects and then practically very few jobs, and you'll have to know someone to get a job or completely forget about it. I don't want to be negative, but it's not looking good. Lest writers think that movies are a safe haven in this post-peak TV period, they are not. Though the number of WGA-covered films has been pretty stable over the past few years, the number of screenwriters working is down 15%. Screenwriter earnings are down 6%. If they had just focused on making things that people actually want to see and can enjoy and can tell their friends about and have a human experience with. That's what you're supposed to do when you're creating TV shows, movies, comic books, any kind of entertainment. That wouldn't have saved them from problems that technology brings and challenges that technology brings, but technology also brings opportunities. There's always new distribution opportunities. The problem is the entire industry stopped paying attention to what people actually wanted to see. And even now, you can see the WGA is focused on trying to save democracy, not get jobs for their members. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.